So we've gotten a look at the big picture of that fiscal cliff. Well, with the presidential election behind us, we're hearing more talk of that looming fiscal crisis threatening the economic recovery. What does all that policy talk mean for you and your family? Here to break it down is Ebru economic analyst, Rutgers professor and chief economist William Rodgers III. Put it into the language that we can use here. We hear all the policy and the talk in Washington, but how does that affect us at the bank, at the supermarket, or in the home?
Sure. I mean, both Wall Street, which a lot of people focused on, but particularly Main Street, we just don't like uncertainty. Right? We just don't like uncertainty. Uncertainty makes it much more difficult for us to plan, for the future. Uncertainty makes you feel just uneasy, and particularly, 70% of our national income, comes from personal consumption. So yes, we have to provide employers with the tools to invest, to expand their firms. But the bottom line is, when you're facing potentially having your unemployment insurance benefits pulled back because Congress doesn't want to reauthorize them because they think that us giving you $400 a week is going to sort of detract from your decision to search for a job. That fear of that makes you even more concerned and pulls back and retrenches your consumption, your expenditures.
So the more concern we have, the less spending we do.
Right. And the big problem, there was actually a poll that a small business group, advocacy group did, and they found that a third of the small businesses claim that the biggest problem they see going forward isn't around investment issues, it's around consumption, it's around getting people really back in the game. And so, this big uncertainty of whether or not, whether we're going to have large-scale tax increases, or we're going to have major spending cuts, that really just creates this massive uncertainty that, again, Wall Street, but also particularly Main Street, people have difficulty planning.
Let's talk about this impact on business. I don't know if a lot of people understand this. If this uncertainty is that you're talking about, so we're saying that, well, businesses are not going to invest in, say, if I make washing machines, I'm not going to buy another 1,000 of them because I'm thinking only 500 people are going to buy. So I'm going to cut down on the number of washing machines I buy, and I'm going to sell less, so I'm not going to hire more people, or I'm not going to, how does this, am I getting the right?
Right, yeah, you've got what I call the sort of chain of causation, exactly correct, Brian, that the uncertainty in terms of policy, I mean, part of it was pulled back or reduced by the election of President Obama, because Romney, the candidate, and President Obama have very different views on policy. But
and when you're talking about policy, and we've got on the screen here, just so you know, what expires, the things that the Bush tax cuts, the unemployment benefits you talked about, but just so our viewers can move along with us.
So take the Bush tax cuts, right? There is two distinct views. Obama wants to extend the tax cuts for the middle class and people who are slightly above in the middle class, going up to about $250,000. And the belief there is that people, and it's been shown by economic research, that people in the middle, when they get a tax cut, they tend to spend it, as opposed to folks who are in that upper region, the upper 2% of the population, when they get a tax cut, they tend to invest it. And what we call, there's this thing called the multiplier effect. Again, back to the individual, right? When I'm going to take that dollar and I'm going to spend it, right, that's going to create more jobs. It's going to cause or lead firms to want to expand more.
As opposed to investment, which is going to stay in the pockets of the wealthy.
That's correct. That's correct. And so the big fear is that this collection of potential tax increases, major cuts in expenditures in education, in training, in national defense, that if those austere programs are enacted because we can't get to yes, that's collectively, that's going to pull us back into a recession. Now, I don't know if it's going to be a recession, but definitely would slow the economy. Slow the economy.
At a time when we least need for it to slow down.
Exactly. We've moved into second gear, third gear, and we're trying to get into that, move to that higher gear, faster speed, and this, sort of solving the problem with the election, but now going forward with this next trying to resolve, and we didn't create this problem overnight. This problem wasn't created overnight, so it isn't going to be solved in one day. So I think the first thing we have to see is the President and the Speaker and the Senate Majority Leader, they've got to come out and say, okay, these are our principles, these are our foundations, this is what we're going to agree upon in the short term to avert the big tax increases, to avert the big spending cuts. And then later on in the year, probably hopefully by summer, they've got to come up with some kind of deficit plan.
So it's time to move past politics and look at what's in the bank and what we're spending.
Right.
And
This
what
is
we
all.
don't have.
Yeah. This is all about getting to yes.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Always a pleasure, Bill. We'll
Brian.
look forward to have you come back and give us some more insight on these monetary issues and how it affects mom and pop.
Oh yes, most definitely. Thank you.
Thanks.